Hi guys, and welcome back. First of all, I'd like to thank you all for the great response I had to my last video. This is my second Darktable video, and the first one was it went really well actually. I'm glad that you all participated and you give me lots of feedback, and I gather a lot of you learned a lot of things. Now I know I need to just slow down on some of the explaining. Now the first video wasn't intended to be an in-depth tutorial. It was just meant to show you how easy it is to get an image in Darktable. And this is going to be the same sort of thing. I'm going to make it a bit more in depth, but I'm not going to get technical. I'm just going to show you how easy Darktable is to use and why you shouldn't be afraid to use Darktable, and how easy it is to use some of the masking options, how easy it is to use highlights and shadow recovery, etc. And I'm going to use two of my images from this week. We climbed up a mountain. I took a team of 13 of us up a mountain, so we took some images. And as you can see, these are two of the images from that walk, both taken on Olympus cameras, and both should give you a good idea of how easy it is to get quite flat images and change them into something, more realistic or more artistic, depending on which way you want to go. I'm going to start off with the easy image, and then I'm going to work to the harder image second. Okay, now you will learn a lot of things in this video, but I will make it as short and as concise as possible. First thing we do, click on the image, of course. Because these images were taken on an Olympus camera, they're actually in the 4:3 aspect ratio. So I won't be changing the aspect ratio on these. Like normally I crop to 5:4, but they're close enough. If it was a 3:2, the same as my Fuji, I would crop it down. But I like the aspect ratio on these. Now, the first thing we do, obviously, as I said last time, is start from the bottom, work to the top. Don't worry about the noise, because we'll get to that in the end. Even though last time I forgot to get to it in the end, I'll explain to it this time to you. Lens correction, hit that button, it does its thing. Nicely done. Rotate to the perspective module, nothing to change here. That's your next thing. I would technically move to the crop from here, which is this option here, but I'm not going to crop this image as I said. The exposure, it's obviously using the compensation it was at when I took the image. So I'm going to click on that, and it's made it nice and bright for us. There we go. Now, during the day, it was actually much darker on the outside and brighter there in the center, but we'll correct that in a minute. Now, at this point in the last video, I was using my DT styles, which changed a few settings from here up. So I will do them manually this time. I like to oversaturate and overchroma, whichever you want to say it. Anyway, I want to add extra settings to these so that it's nice and punchy to start with. Because when it's punchy to start, you've got a lovely, good, feel-good image. You can tone it down at the end. So I'll turn the saturation to 30. The chroma is always half of what you chose for the saturation, so that's 15. And I tend to find that gives the best results. Contrast. Now I will have more contrast in this image. It's quite uncontrasty. There we go. Nice. Nice bit of contrast. Hit the black relative exposure magic wand, and the same for the white relative exposure. There we go. Local contrast. Yes, we'll have that. Always do. It just gives it that bit more finesse. As you can see, it's already brought it back to life. That one setting from there to there, give it a little bit of life. Now, usually I'd set this to about 130, just a little bit more. Just give it a bit of a kick. There we go. That's nice. Now, as you can see, already this image is technically finished. You could leave it like that, or you could do a few more bits and pieces with it, which I'm going to do now. So I'm just going to adjust some of the highlights and shadows. Now I want to make certain areas a bit darker certain areas a bit lighter. Okay, so for that I always use the tone equalizer option. Okay, so tone equalizer is on. There we can see it. Now the first thing to do with the tone equalizer is to have a look around, see what we've got here. You've got a nice image, as you can see, but it's pushed it's pushed right to the right hand side. So the histogram is shown on the right hand side here. So I need to adjust this. So click on the masking. Do this every time, no matter what the histogram looks like on the tone equalizer. Hit your mask button. Hit your mask contrast compensation, and then do the same for the mask exposure compensation. There we go. Nice. Turn off your mask, and then go into your advanced. And as you can see, the histogram has now been spread out, so we can work with it a lot easier. So this option, the tone equalizer, equalizes out the exposure, so you can work with it easier, and your histogram shows that already. So as you can see, well, I won't show you again, but the equalizer, it was this half, but now it's spread across. So if we look at your various exposure values, we get 4 in this area, 5 in this area, 7s and 8s in this area, 4s, 2s in this area. So we know exactly what I want to work with. Now the darker areas, I want to make a bit darker. So I'm going to pull down the exposure just a little bit. There you are. You see that change then? Let's save that dark area there. Okay, so I want to actually change some of these other areas. So the 3s I want to bring down a little bit as well. There we go. And I want to brighten up some of the other areas. 2s, for example, -2s. There we go. Oh, nice, nice. And I'll just bring down the sky a little bit. Okay, there we go. Just a little playing around there, and we've gone from this look to this look. So it's darkened these areas here. Top of the darkest point, and it's lightened some of the lightest areas. There we are. Now the next image I'll show you after this image will deal with the tone equalizer a lot more, so don't worry about it at this point. Technically, this image could be finished now. I'll take a snapshot just so you can see where we started from and where we are now. So we started from this image, and we're already at this point. It's gone from a flat image to a much nicer image with a lot more depth. Okay, so next step. All right, what I do next is I would change some of the colors. Now, color zones is a module that a lot of people get upset, a bit worried about using. They're not sure. Now, other software has a lot of sliders which you can just slide back and forth, back and forth. But you get used to this module, and once you understand it, it's very easy to use. Now, I have actually got a lot of styles myself which I've made, and of course you can download those. The link is in the comments. I've also added a few more to the initial 12 I made, and they will be released soon. But anyway, I always start with the lightness. Now, greens, I want to make the greens a bit lighter. Now, as you can see, this is the center point, and this is all the colors which you'll be adjusting. Okay, so the greens will be the greens, and as it tells you, the greens, the yellows, the reds, the oranges, the colors are there. Now, you could use the color picker or the area color picker, and then you can just move across, and it tells you where that color is, and you can adjust it. But I like to do it just the simple way, really. I like to know exactly where the colors are. I can know that's a yellow, I know that's an orange, etc. So I will make the yellows a bit brighter. I think yellow's got a nice punch to them. The greens can certainly come a bit darker. There we go, they changed there straight away. Any reds, oranges in it? The oranges can come a bit brighter, and the reds can come a bit darker to give you a bit of a better look to it. Now the blues, just going to bring that down a bit. There we go. And that's all I'm going to do to this image. It's already changed from that to that at the moment. Saturation. Now then, let's play with the saturation. The yellows, put them up slightly. The greens, and bring the greens down a heck of a lot. As you can see, when it goes down, the greens change. So just bring the greens down to this level. The reds, I'm going to darken the reds, so give me a much crisper look to them. In between colour here, I'm just going to change those colours, and that's about it for this. The hues, now the greens, I just always dislike certain greens, so I am going to change some of the greens. So I'm on the yellows here, I'm on the greens there, and I'm going to just bring the greens down. As you can see in the centre, greens go very bright. It's nice and dark there. And then I'm going to tune the yellows. Give them a bit of crispier colour. So there we go. So that's looking nice and autumnal now. So we look before and after. We've just gone into a bit more autumnal colours. So as you can see, just made it a bit crisper. It's fine. I'm now going to add a vignette to this, because I just think I just want to darken the outskirts and keep this center part a bit brighter. Click on vignette, hold the shift key and bring it in. There we go. As you can see, that's done that. Now it's gone very, as you can see, it's gone very, very bland on the outsides, because by default the saturation is set to -0.5. I don't like that. Make it +0.5 and all of a sudden your image comes to life. As you can see, that's a huge difference all of a sudden. Okay, so now we become nice and bright on the outside, getting darker as you go and less saturated as you go into the center. Brightness, turn it down a little bit more, I think, because it's that kind of image. That's nice. There we go. And as you can see, it's looking very nice now. So there it was originally. Sorry, not originally. Before I'd done the color zones. A few different settings, you can see it. And then now, well, it's gone into an autumnal look. So if I take a snapshot here, go back to where we were, show you. There we go. Starting shot, the new shot, starting shot, and there we are, much better. Okay, now you could leave it at that. It's more or less done, but I do like to add actually a couple of more things to this image. Though I'm not going to add any clarity to this image because I don't think it needs it at this point, but I will add blur to the trees. Okay, now like in landscape photography they have the Orton effect. Well, I kind of simulate it with the blurs module, which I find I prefer it to the diffuse and sharpen module, so I'm going to use this. And on this point I'll show you a bit of masking as well. Okay, so open the blurs, turn it on, and instantly your image will go blurry, which is exactly what we want. Now obviously we don't want to have the whole thing blurry, we only want the trees, this area here, blurry. So we'll start a mask. Now you have a mask selection along the bottom here. You've got uniformity, which is the whole thing. You've got a drawn mask, where you can draw the area you want to do a mask. Then you've got your parametric masks, parametric and drawn, and your raster mask. Now for this tutorial I'm just going to use the quickest and easiest way, especially in an image like this, and that's a drawn mask. Click on it, it opens up. And then you've got various options for your draw mask. You can draw circles, ellipse, you can draw your paths, you can add a brush and paint over it, or of course you can add a gradient. Now in this case, I'm going to use the paths. Click on it, click on the start point, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over the path. Okay, like so, so that we get the path covered. Like this. When you finished your path, right click. Now as you can see, the path is blurry, but the trees are not blurry. So we're going to invert the mask, come across the drawn mask, click the invert button. There we go, the tree is now way too blurry, but that's fine. Now don't worry about all these settings at the top, you can play with these another time. This is just basically showing you how to add a simple mask. Adjust the opacity, and then all of a sudden your image goes with a nice blurry effect, which isn't too bad. There we go. To finish this off, I'm just going to readjust the exposure just by turning up just a little bit. Just get it as I need it. There we are. I'm happy with that. There's the image. So our starting point and our end point. That's simple. I think you agree that there's a big difference there. Of course, if you wanted to, you could just dial down the chroma and the saturation. And there we go. So even then, there's a big difference to as it was originally. There we go. Lovely. And that only took us from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, around 9 modules. That's all it took. And then some tweaks after. All very simple. And you know, it works. You don't need to be complicated. You can just use the same modules all the time and get the effect you need. So we go on to the second image, which is this image here. I double click on it to open it up. Now this image is a bit different. I need to recover this area, slightly darken these, and obviously raise the brightness here. First thing I'm going to do, as always, lens correction. I'm not going to crop it. I've explained my reason why. If I hit the exposure, it takes it too dark. I'm not happy with that. So I'm going to put the exposure back to where I want it. There we go. There. Now, I do actually want to rotate this image. So I hit the rotate in perspective. I'm going to use the straightening tool. So I'm going to right click my mouse button, hold it, drag across, follow the horizon line, leave go. And there we have it. Nice and straight. Okay. Now do make sure that your automatic cropping original format is selected. Otherwise, it'll be this shape as you just seen then, out of alignment. Okay. So there we go. First part is done. First part is easy. Then we just go straight to saturation, right click, 30, chroma, right click, 15. Contrast. I'm not actually going to change the contrast much on this one. It's going to be a tiny, tiny amount. And then the same then with the black relative exposure. Click. White relative exposure. Click. Focal contrast. Just turn it on. It doesn't need anything extra to this one. I'm quite happy with that. There we go. So the next step is going to be a tone equalizer. Adjust these shadows and the highlights. So there we go. So again, go into the masking. Let's look at this first. Let's go back to this. Okay, that's fine. Look at the masking. Turn the mask on. Click on your contrast composition. Same for your exposure. Turn this off. There we have it. So now it's gone from nothing to it's been sorted out so that it's actually we can work with something. Now, as you see, this area here is -7 EV, so we know we need to brighten this area up. This area is -1, so we know we need to keep it the same or darken it. The middle part is -4, -3. By knowing these things, we can work on the area we want. So I'm instantly going to push this up the top. There we go. And then going to just brighten this area up just a little bit. There we go, nice already. And then I'm going to the clouds. I'm just going to bring it just a tad. There we are, lovely. I'm just going to raise this level here. And there we go. Already it's nice. So I'm just looking at this. There we go. You can, as you say, you can just go over the area you want and move your center wheel forwards or backwards. And I will adjust the exposure as well. So that is down there. If I look at before, I went to that module, all dark, nothing there. No detail whatsoever. There we are after it. Now, not forgetting with this image, the light was coming from here. It was coming straight across, and this area was pitch black. So, you know, it's recovered a lot of detail that wasn't there. Now, this detail is actually quite noisy in this image, but we'll address that at the end. I'll explain to you why I never usually use the noise reduction. So there we go. Now, the color-wise, we'll do the same again. We'll go into the color zones, open them up, lightness. There's not much to change in this actually. I'm quite happy. The greens, I never like the greens, so I'm going to bring down the color of the greens just a tad. The yellow's there. The blues, I'm just going to rise slightly. Saturation of the grass, I'm just going to bring it down a bit. See there. There we go. And the sky, I'm just going to give it a bit more punch. There we go. That's all done there. As you can see, it's lovely. Looking good. Next module I'm going to touch is the which module should I touch this time? The contrast equalizer. This one here. So this module here has a few different settings. The contrast equalizer module. Just hit the clarity, and it takes a few seconds, and there we are. It kicks into life. Now that is quite a powerful module. Okay, so in this case, what you need to do is just bring down that intensity that the clarity gives you. So to change the intensity of something like this, you click on the uniformity mask. So that basically gives the mask right throughout the whole screen. And then just click down on the opacity. And there we go. So it's added the contrast equalizer. It's added the clarity we chose. But instead of it being at 100%, it's now at 50%. Okay. So just explain that one more time. Go into your contrast equalizer. Click on your clarity. Go into your masking area. Click uniformity, which means it affects the whole image, and then bring down the mask. So there we go, nicely done. And there we have it. That's the image done, apart from one little thing, which is lens flare, right there. So I'm going to now remove the lens flare, and I'm going to remove that using the retouch module. Don't be afraid of this module. You know, for simple things like this, it's very easy to use. Turn it on, and then it will load up. And then choose the shape you want of the retouch tool. So I'm going to use a circle because it's quite a simple circle. Funny enough, it's the right size. So I'm just going to go over this. Click on it. It's going to find you. It's going to ask you to find another part of the image to work with. There we go. It's done. Oops. I say it's done. It didn't do. So let me just redo that again. And just do it one more time. Circle image. See, even though you can make mistakes. Just make it slightly bigger than it. Click on there. Try to get around. Move it to an area which doesn't have the element you want in it. There we go. Try again. We all make mistakes. It's easy enough to make a mistake, but it's easy enough to rectify a mistake. There we go. So there we have it. If I go back to take a snapshot where we are now to where we started, and as you can see straight away, actually I'll go back to the rotating perspective. There we go. So now you can see it. That's how we started. This is how we finish. And that was a much more complicated image to work on. Now, as I was talking before about denoise, right? With denoise, I never, very, very, very rarely used the denoise module on any package I use, simply because noise doesn't really bother me that much. But not only that, it's it can hinder the image, and I prefer an image look as it is, without being blurred. You put all the work into it, and you denoise, and it tends to lose a bit of clarity. But in this instance, there's quite a lot of noise there. So I'll press the denoise button. There we are, and it should remove the noise. Technically, I could have left it as it was because no one's going to look at the noise. And apart from photographers, no one actually cares about noise. I've soaked images, I put images on the internet, and no one ever comments on the noise because 99% of people really don't care about noise. Obviously, if you're dealing with birds and insects and you're close up and you need to just clear it up, it can make a difference. But for landscapes, generally it doesn't make a difference. So there we have it, guys. That's my 2 images. I hope I haven't talked too long, and I hope you've learned something from this. Let's go back into this. As you can see, they're now 2 lovely images now, actually. I'm quite proud of these 2 images. Let's go back to this. So there's the one just done. As you can see, it's a lovely image. And there's the other one. I'll put them both up at the end. Thank you for watching. And of course, if you have any questions or comments or anything you want, let me know and I'll answer them for you. Ignore the pink on this part here, on the light table, because it shows up in a lot of images, including this image here, but it's not actually on the full image. It's just the way the Darktable is. I am using Darktable 4.1.0865. I only installed this 2 days ago, and I'm looking forward to Darktable 4.2 in the future. Anyway, thank you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to share these videos. Don't forget to visit onecameraonelens.com, and I will be adding a Darktable specific area to that website soon, which will be found at onecameraonelens.com/Darktable, where you'll have everything you need to get your images up quickly and with less fuss than ever before. Thank you for your time, everybody. Until next time, goodbye.